when Gord was mentioning his contracts with the other couple men in the church, my wife was hoping I would be one of the men. But sorry, honey, it's not. I'm going to give just a short testimony, and that's what we all have when we know the Lord, and that when we follow Him, He gives us a new testimony. And mine spans throughout quite a ways. And as Gord mentioned, I could probably spend a whole hour giving you my testimony of what the Lord has done in my life and the different things. But I'm just going to take 5 minutes and just just touch on some parts. But I want to give you a little bit of background. I grew up in Fort Erie, and I went to Catholic school. I went to OLV, and I grew up in the Catholic Church, and I was an altar boy and everything like that. But you know what? I didn't know the Lord. I didn't know God. I was more of an atheist than anything. I just didn't see any power. I didn't just understand the rituals, all that kind of. I was more of an atheist, and grew out of that. And in fact, I can remember at one time when I was a teenager, I said to somebody, they said, "Well, what would you like to do with your life?" And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I'd probably like to be a priest, but I just don't have the faith. I have no faith. I don't believe in God. So how could I be a priest?" And so throughout my academics, I ended up being a commercial diver, going to school, and I spent a year in Southeast Asia on the oil rigs and living there and diving in the sea. And basically wasn't a Christian then or anything. I was very worldly. I was basically doing the wine, women, and song kind of go there. And after a year of traveling throughout Thailand and Indonesia and Malaysia and Singapore, different things like that, I came back home, did various jobs. However, when I was back home, I got into a relationship that was resulted out of a child. I got a girl pregnant, and I really, Larry talked about last week about how God has put a consciousness, has put our morals in. And I knew my lifestyle was wrong. I knew morally that I was doing wrong. But I just didn't know what to do. And literally, I thought that the solution would have been an abortion. Let's have that abortion. And because I thought, not knowing Christ, thinking, why mix up two lives? Why screw up two lives with one there? But as time went on, I was thinking about this, and I was kind of looking for forgiveness. I was looking for forgiveness, and I didn't know what to do. And so long, who would come knocking on the door as a regular basis, and you'd see that, was the Jehovah's Witnesses would come on a regular basis. And I would put them away, and I'd say, no, not interested, not interested. They'd say, well, would you read a book? And after months of them coming, I said, well, okay, give me a book, and I'll read a book. Well, I read this book that they had, and it was a good book. It was called Creation versus Evolution. And I read this creationist book, and right away, when I read that, I absolutely knew, without a doubt in my mind, that yes, there is a God. There's a God. And, with this God, I instinctively knew that if there was a God, this God had to be a good God. So I was under that premise now. Well, then as time went on, I was looking for forgiveness and different things like that. Certain things started to happen in my life that weren't good. Mental illness runs in my family. My mother suffers from bipolar and different things like that. And what happened for the next 5 years, I was diagnosed with an illness known as schizophrenia. And I had 6 hospitalizations. I lived in 3 different group homes, and I had a suicide attempt. I was very, very ill, very ill. And so through that time, still working with the Jehovah's Witnesses, a good friend of mine, through the Shirkson Brothers in the Christ Church where I got, Glennis Kendrick, my aunt Gert Shirk, got a hold of Dave Kendrick. And Dave's passed away now, but Dave had a ministry to cults, and Dave basically came into my life. And through study and through his witness and taking me to Shirkston and to Bible meetings, everything, I became a Christian. I realized that I needed Jesus as my personal Savior. I needed a personal relationship. So I accepted Jesus, and time went by, but nothing was really happening. And that song we sang this morning, in His time. What a beautiful thing, because God makes all things new in His time. And so through this time, I was going through this time. I tried to get back to work, did a bunch of different things. things weren't working. I ended up spending 5 years basically on the couch, 5 years of doing nothing. And I can remember, I was painting my parents' place, my parents' house, and I was watching the TV, and the 700 Club was on. Probably a lot of us familiar with the 700 Club. And they were playing here, the 700 Club. And people were giving their testimonies. They're saying, oh, the Lord was doing this in my life, and the Lord did this in my life, and the Lord was doing this in my life. And I was getting angrier and angrier and angrier hearing this. And I was painting, and I looked up, and I shook my fist to God. I said, God, you're doing all these things for these people. Do something for me. Why aren't you doing something? And in the past, I would be going to church and Bible studies, and I would see people in the church had relationships, and they were married. And I would see people. I can remember going out and seeing a person, and they're rebuilding their house and everything. And he said to Dave, the Lord is really good. He really is making a difference in my life. And I'm thinking, all these people I've told they're doing that. Why is nothing happening in my life? And so after I said that, you know what? Some things started to happen in my life. And God started to do some things in my life. And I was sure, I would say, oh, God, you did this. I'm going to praise you. That's, thank you. And he kept doing things. And in his time, basically, to make a long story short, the Lord gave me an idea for my business. I started a magazine. Right now it's called SZ Magazine. It's a mental wellness magazine that's throughout North America. I go speaking across North America on living with schizophrenia and consultant for pharmaceutical companies. I have my business, different things like that. And we just actually last year started a ministry called McPhee Ministries, which is basically church to community for mental wellness, where we're trying to teach church leaders on mental illness and making an impact to go out into the community to witness and to share and with mental illness. 1 out of 5 people in Canada have a mental illness, whether it be schizophrenia, depression, bipolar, OCD. 1 out of 5, it's huge. And I just want to say that, you know what, the Lord, I believe the Lord has given me a gift of faith now. I have faith, and I kind of like the parable in the Bible where the centurion goes to Jesus, and he says, "Can you heal my servant?" And Jesus says, "Okay, I'll come now." And the centurion says, "No, you don't have to go. Just say the word, and he'll be healed." And that's how I feel. I feel that I have a strong relationship. I know that I can see God's working in my life and what he does, and he has a plan. And it's such a great idea when you know that God has a plan for your life and he'll take care of no matter what. And to make a long story short, today I'm married. I have that son that I got a girl pregnant. He's in my life. He's 22 now, and I'm married with Aileen. Aileen and I, we have 2 children, Dwight, who's 7, and Hannah Faith, who's 5. And you know what? The Lord is good, and I just can't say it enough. And the best thing has ever happened to me when the Lord, when I accepted the Lord, and I know the Lord has a plan for my life and the rest of your lives and everything. And it's truly exciting when we know what the Lord's doing in our lives. So thank you.